And hello, everyone, by the way.
Hello.
I hope
Hello.
everyone great. Hi, Belize. This is you, right? Hello, everyone. And have a nice first session of 2021. Happy New Year, Enu.
Happy New Year.
We will start in the next 5 minutes, guys. Please be comfortable yourself. Maybe take a coffee or Turkish coffee.
Yeah. It's too strong for me, although in Lebanon, it's like everybody's favorite.
Yes. Okay, let me check the waiting room. Thank you so much.
So Goksa, can I also ask
Yep.
to make Yasmin a co-host?
Of course, yeah. Is everyone was a co-host from your side, right?
Yeah, I'm checking.
Okay. Is there anyone? Should I make co-host?
So yes, Yasmin Al-Qaisi. I asked her to rename herself. Yasmin Al-Qaisi.
I see. Yeah. Yeah, I know Yasmin. Yeah, she's co-host right now.
Yeah. Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, Alina made the best joke for for Christmas. After a year, we miss you all, guys. Come on. Hello, guys. Hello for new ones. And by the way, I'd like to thank you for your cooperation before this session. I think it will be great, I mean, for the breakout rooms. Dear co-host, I already prepared breakout rooms. You can see in the breakout rooms feature, but we will arrange them if we need. Just I'd like to share with you. You can see some of them is already in your team channel, in the breakout rooms.
Yes.
I guess we can start, dear Mona.
Yes,
The stage is yours.
Thank you so much. So I'm just gonna share my screen. All right, guys. So again, Happy New Year. We wish you a great 2021, and we hope that you had relaxing holidays or some time off at least. And we are very excited to be talking today about our next steps in DPCH, and particularly we are talking today about how you're gonna be presenting your project at this stage. Of course, I hope that you recall that we have several stages during DPCH, so it is quite a long program, and those who will continue with us will be subject to further more in-depth training, and hopefully, if the situation permits, the finalist teams will be able to go to Qatar. So I mean, definitely if COVID allows us to do that, but that's the original plan. So we would like to prepare you better for the pitch, which is going to take place on Jan 11 and 12. I hope that Goxel and the Stock Lab team will send you more details about each team and when they're going to be presenting. You will have a total of 5 minutes to do your pitch, and then the jury members, who are 4, will have another minute to score you. So there is a template that was prepared by SOGLab. I'm going to be going through it, but I'm going to also be giving you practical examples, tips and tricks to really do well in your presentation, or I would like to call it pitch, because usually in entrepreneurship, we call this a pitch. And really, we are preparing you in this program to embark on this like innovation and entrepreneurship journey. And we would like you to start thinking about it that way. So yes, it is a presentation. However, we would like to think about it as a pitch, because entrepreneurs pitch and don't just present. All right, so the very first slide of your template, you have the team name, the team number, and of course you have to, I'm gonna keep this view. I'm not gonna go full screen because I need to show you sometimes the notes that I wrote. So I'm doing this on purpose. Maybe I can just enlarge this a little bit, but I need to show you like how my screen looks like, because this is how it will look like for you when you are preparing your slides. So I did this very quickly on PowerPoint, by the way. Of course, it's not the best logo in the world, but we advise all of you to come up with your own logo. And there are several tools that you can use to create a logo. So first of all, there's a very nice feature on the new PowerPoint, which is when you insert, you can insert certain icons. So I hope you are seeing on my screen. When I press on PowerPoint insert icons, I can really select any icon I want. I can simply here, I searched for laptop because my project is called Remote Academy. So when we talk about remote work, especially after COVID, we are talking about everything that's going through the internet really. So you need a laptop, you need internet. So I just chose a laptop, and inside the laptop I changed its color, so you can just double click on it and you are able to select any color you want. And I wrote Remote Academy using WordArt. It's not the best font or design, but I just did anything very quickly. It's not recommended, like I'm gonna zoom in, it's not really recommended to have this kind of shadowing. So this is not the recommended way to do it. And I would like to ask you to look at the trends whenever you are creating anything. Like, don't just say, oh, I like, red and blue. Let me create a logo with red and blue. No, you have to see what's trendy, what works, what are the best practices. So yes, I have here something which I'm telling you is not trendy, so I'd better change it. All right, I just gave it as an example. So I called it Remote Academy because my solution, and by the way, I'm just coming up with any solution for the sake of example, is gonna be an academy that helps the youth to do remote work. And I'm team 67. I hope there's no such team. So this is all fictitious. I'm just coming up with things, okay, that are not true. All right, so at the very beginning, you have to tell us about how you came up with this idea, what's the inspiration behind it. And I know that you spent a lot of time in your sessions and with the in the mural sessions to really work on several milestones regarding the inspiration phase. And here in the notes, you have the scoring criteria for your presentation. So 50% of your total grade is on the inspiration phase because you spend the most time on it. and it is divided into two parts. First one is the target audience defined in a specific way? And we're gonna like see this more clearly. So you have to have a very good identification of your target audience. Who are they? What's their age group? Are they males or females? Where do they live? Geographic areas? What is their socioeconomic background? What's their education? What do they do in their daily life? You know, are they studying a certain major? Are they a specific age group? Do they go to certain places? So you have to really have done this empathy and inspiration phase very well. And you have to show us that you have understood this target audience by empathizing with them and really understanding what they think, what they feel, how they are behaving, and everything that has to do with what we called earlier the empathy map. We're going to see it in the next slides. Okay, so this is in a nutshell the inspiration part that you have to be presenting. And I'm going to show you some slides, but I want to tell you that you have flexibility in terms of which slides you want to keep and how you want to reorganize your slides. And after I explain to you the template, I will give you some examples from my fictitious example, which I called Remote Academy. And I'm gonna just open the chat. If you have any questions, you can write in the chat and I will try to answer right away. Okay, and we're gonna be talking step by step. So we're starting with inspiration, then ideation, and the very last one is the implementation or the prototype. I would like to tell Ian that in terms of stage, I mean, you are lucky and unlucky at the same time. You're lucky because I believe that pitching over a laptop is much easier than pitching on a real stage. So you are at a privilege there, but also it has its tricks and it has its challenges. And we're going to be talking a bit about this as well. But I would really like to encourage you to prepare for the pitch as if it's not a virtual one. Because again, in your training as entrepreneurs, I would say it's important to also practice how to deliver a pitch on stage. So, and I'm going to talk more about this later on, although we all know that there is no real stage at this point. However, it's good to try to emulate somehow a real pitch. Okay, we're not going to talk about profit. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's go deeper into inspiration. So in inspiration, you have worked on several areas on mural. You talked about the dreams, what do you want to achieve, how we can, make the world a better place, what are some ambitions, some gains you would like to achieve, and at the same time, complaints or what we call also pains. So what is going wrong? What are the existing gaps? What are the pains that certain people are facing? So you want to reflect on this work here in your pitch, okay? But you do not have to do it as you see on the slide. So for example, if I were you, I wouldn't simply I'm gonna show you an example of what not to do, okay? So this is something that you shouldn't do. I wouldn't simply write bullet points about, dreams. Let's say I'm talking about the youth of Lebanon, and by youth, I mean people who are between 18 and 25, all right? So I would say decent work. This is what not to do, okay? I would say decent work. I would say a good income. I would say they also want stability and security. And I can say that they want to immigrate to a better country. All right, so I'm showing you what not to do. Let's assume that based on my exercise, which I did earlier on when I was looking at youth in Lebanon and I wanted to see what their dreams are, I came up with this list of 4 points. we do not recommend that you put these points like this. Again, this is not a school or a university presentation. This should be a decent pitch. So you have to tell us a story. You are telling us a story of real people. There is a real target audience. So you want to make it as interactive, as engaging, as convincing as possible. So refrain from the traditional university or school-like presentation and present things in a better way. I'm going to show you an example in a bit, but this is what not to do. Okay, so even if this is the case, we would like to tell this in a smooth, seamless, coherent way. I come up with a story and I say it. I don't just like list them, okay, as if I'm telling my class what I found out. Okay, but you have to keep in mind, I have to talk about the pains and the gains. I also have to talk about statistics, about research. So you were asked to do some research. You were asked to dig deeper into reports and to understand the real problem and what it is, from where did it emerge, how does it look like, what are the elements of it. So you have to tell us what you have found out, so the knowns and the unknowns, what we don't know. So again, I don't advise you to just put them as is, but put them in your own way. Make it more interactive, make it more visually appealing. Again, you can use the icons in Word. You can also use, by the way, in Word, I'm going to show you. So I have the MacBook edition. So it depends on whether you have Microsoft, you have Windows or Word. But I'm going to show you again in icons. You can also add, in addition to stock images, you can add stickers and illustrations and cut out people. So PowerPoint nowadays gives you a lot of different options. So let's say I'm going to insert this young person because I'm talking about youth who will be telling me, I don't know, a certain story, let's say, or telling me more about her pains and gains. All right, so I make it a bit more entertaining. Or I can, for example, maybe use this person and here insert something to say what they need or what they're asking for. So more opportunities. They're demanding for more opportunities for the youth, for example. So there are many ways to be creative, to present something that is not, just conventional, and again, not university or student or school-like. I would also like to recommend it, a very nice platform. It's called Canva. I'm going to write it in the chat box as well. So Canva will allow you to create a logo, to have some icons as well, and to have some nice designs that you can also use. So you can also use it. Okay, so I'm going to continue with the slides. So in addition to saying some information about the research you've done, some statistics, some knowns, some unknowns, we also want to know what are the restrictions, so what are the challenges, what are the difficulties that are faced in this problem. Why is this problem a problem? What makes it, a complex challenge to solve? Why haven't other people been successful in solving it? And the ultimate goal, like what are you trying to achieve? What's the ultimate goal behind this thing? Again, the same principle applies. Please be creative, innovative, integrate this information into an interesting way to deliver. So in pitches, it's not just the content which is important, but also the delivery of the content. It's very important how you present it. It's very important the entire story, the graphics, the images, the visuals. Do not use a lot of text. It's very, very bad in pitches to have a lot of text because nobody wants to read. We want to hear you pitch. We want to have our attention focused on you, the entrepreneurs, the innovators, the change makers behind this project, and not the words or the content on the slide itself. The slide is just there to help you deliver and do a better job. And also in inspiration, of course, here again we're talking about looking at the problem from different lenses, doing your research as was required from you. Tell us more about the demographics of the target audience. As I said, how old are they? Are they males or females? Where do they live? What do they do? Are they coming from a specific socioeconomic background? Do they have children? Everything that has to do with them and their behavior. What do they do in their daily life? How do they behave? Do they, for example, in my case, I'm going to be talking about remote work. What do they do in their daily life? For example, they are searching for jobs. They are starting to become desperate. So they are starting to have some bad habits, etc. And here is really, again, as we said, who are you empathizing with? Who is your target customer? And here there's an example, housewives not working under 30. So you have to be very specific and you have to tell us this detail very, very early on for the jury to understand who you're talking about. And here is some elements from the empathy map. I hope you all did a good job in the empathy map in understanding better your target audience and in empathizing with them through interviews and understanding their personas, the different personas that emerge, and understanding what they do in their daily lives in terms of what do they say about this problem, how do they think about it, what do they do, and how do they feel. And again, I do not expect you to present it as is, but I want you to deliver it in a coherent story-like manner, because stories are the best way to convince someone about your idea. And you have to remember, why are we doing this pitch? It's because I'm trying to convince the jury that I am up to something important. I want to convince the jury that the problem that I chose is worthwhile. It's a very important problem, and that the solution I chose is the right solution as well. I want to convince them that I have a very good understanding of my target audience, and I want to convince them that this understanding will allow me to do a good job when I'm gonna create this solution. All right, so this is the whole idea behind it, and this is why some people will continue with us for the next phase and some others won't. So it really depends on your performance, on how convincing your story will be, and how convincing your you have put together. Like, it's like a puzzle. If you want to think about it, there are different elements, and in this pitch, in this presentation, you're putting this puzzle together and you are presenting it out loud. So your performance will really determine how well you've done of a job in the program so far. And the last slide in the template about the inspiration is really synthesizing the inspiration phase by telling us your design question. Okay, so all right, after you explained who your target audience is, what's their pain, what's their gain, the knowns, the unknowns, demographics, and the empathy map, what do they say, what do they do, what do they feel, and what do they think? You have to tell us what is the question that you ended up with. Okay, so this is, I'm sure you remember this very well from the mural sessions and from the previous sessions when it came to the inspiration subphase. And I want to show you here how I thought of it in my example. Okay, so I did this only today. I came up with a completely fictitious idea that could work for this program. Again, it's called Remote Academy, and I'm team 67. And I'm going to be telling you more about Amir. Amir is a 21-year-old fresh graduate from the Lebanese International University in Tripoli. He majored in computer science and was one of the good students in his class. However, like many youth his age, Amir is jobless. He is spending 2 to 3 hours a day desperately searching for a job online and creating applications and sending job requests with his CV with no luck. So by doing this, by putting an image of a real Lebanese young person who lives in Lebanon, who is wearing his cap and gown. He is a graduate, and I mean, if you're familiar with this photo, he is selling roses on the street. So he is qualified, he has a university degree, however, he has no job. So it's a very symbolic, representative picture saying that our youth, even those who are well educated, are ending up jobless, and they are sometimes having to work in like undecent to take undecent jobs, or to do anything just to have some income, because maybe they have other obligations, other responsibilities. So by doing this, by using a picture, like if you just compare what I had before, if I just had the 4 points that I wrote and I told you do not do this, versus having a picture, which one you think is more powerful? So let me hear from you. Which one is more powerful, like having a picture and saying the few sentences which I did, or like just listing the problems which I discovered as bullet points? Okay, yeah, the picture. So this is why it's very important to really visualize what we're talking about. And usually images are like super strong. So we always recommend that you use a picture when you are talking about your problem to start with. Okay, yes. Thank you for a GIF. I mean, it really depends. Okay, Omar. So I mean, there is no right, wrong. Sometimes you would have a very shocking or alarming statistic that you want to start with. Like, did you know that 95% of youth graduated in, I don't know, 2019 are still unemployed in Lebanon? I'm like making this up. I don't know if that's the right statistic. But if it's the case, then maybe I want to start with that. I mean, there is no right, wrong. It really depends how you would like to do it. But the most important thing that you have to keep in mind is that you want this to be memorable. Again, the jury are listening to several pitches. You want to stand out. You want to be memorable. You want to do a good job in making them remember the problem that you're talking about, and you want to get these nods. Oh, like, oh yes, this is an important problem. Oh wow, this is really sad. Like, oh yes, we have to do something about it. So this is why, yes, we do work on emotions, and usually pictures are very good tools to help us bring out the emotions of people. Or videos, but videos, I don't think it's recommended for your pitch at this stage to use videos. All right, so this is how I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start with a picture of Amir, and then I want to talk a little bit more about some statistics. So I have this graph. I also stole it from Google. I mean, I'm not even sure this is about youth unemployment in Lebanon. Okay, so do not say when I was using wrong things. It's just illustrative. It's just for your, like, for the sake of demonstrating the idea. And I would say, according to source X, the youth unemployment rate in Lebanon has been steadily increasing over the years. The mismatch between the skills under supply and demand, in addition to the decreasing number of vacancies and the deteriorating economic situation, coupled with COVID-19 and its impact on business, are some of the main reasons of this increase. Okay, so after I brought out some emotions, after I introduced the problem, and I created a persona, okay, of my target audience, who is like the youth and like the educated, very fresh graduate youth in Lebanon. And I gave a specific example. By the way, the example here, I mean, I hope you're seeing my entire screen. In the notes, it could be a fictitious example. Like, Amir doesn't have to be a real person. He doesn't have to be really 21 years old. I just gave an example, a realistic example. And this is something you should have based on your empathy, based on your personas. Okay, so come up with a name, give him or her your target beneficiary or your target customer, you know, some demographics that are representative of the group. and it will make it much more realistic, okay, because you want to give a face, you want to give a story again to sell in this pitch. After I did that, I now want to become more scientific, okay? I want to back it up with some research, with some data, with some statistics. So I hope you've already done your research. We bring about some graphs, some numbers, anything that is, it will back up, okay, our argument, it will back up the problem we're talking about and demonstrate it in a better way. Of course, give it a title and kindly keep the source, because it's very important when you're pitching something to have credible sources. So we want as jury to make sure that you have done your research properly. We want to make sure that you have only used credible resources and not just anything, okay? So it's very important. That's why I started with according to source X. And I have another question for you. What am I doing here? Like, why have I written in the notes on every slide? Why have I written a few sentences? But by the way, this is the first question. Why have I written them down? And second of all, do you think I should, during the presentation, should I read them or should I memorize them? Can you answer me? You can unmute if you like. Anybody? So why am I writing notes? Improvise with memory. Zaid, improvisation and pitching don't work. Ask me. I'm the best person in improvising, but in pitches, this is a recipe for failure because it's a timed presentation. It's not like you have, I don't know, as much as you want. Like, of course, in this training session, for example, I didn't memorize everything I have to say because I have a lot of time. But if I have just 5 minutes, everything has to be orchestrated. So you have to know exactly what you're going to say on this slide. And if you just talk over, then you're not going to be finishing on time. If you don't finish on time, it means that you are going to be not covering everything you have to cover. Like, for example, you won't be showing us your prototype. And this is very important. And it has some grades to it. So if you don't show me your prototype, then you're going to have a lower score than your other colleagues or other participants. So I'm just going to read some of the improvise with memory. No, it's a no. Should I read or should I memorize? Yes, this is the question. You explain from your brain and you check on them if you miss something. No, it's not the case. You don't have time to explain from your brain. Okay, so this is why this is the answer for the first question. Why did I write them in the notes? Because for every slide, I have to write a script, okay? So in a pitch, in an entrepreneurship pitch, I have two elements. I have the visual elements, which are the slides, and I have the script, which is the text, okay? So as I said, the very important thing is to have the focus on you as the one who is pitching and not on the slide itself, especially if you're doing it on stage. Imagine on stage, I'm gonna just stop sharing for a bit because I need you to see me while I say this. Okay, all right, so I hope you see me while I say this. So in a real pitch, when you're standing on stage, all right, I mean, the slide, even if it's very big, but it's behind you. Okay, so you are at the center of the stage, you're standing up, you have a microphone on, lights are projected on you, and you are the center of the stage. You are the show, really. Okay, right? I mean, imagine if you went to a theater and you're watching a stand-up comedian, right? So the stand-up comedian will have some visual effects, some lighting behind him or her, some, LED displays. But who's the center of the show? Is it the screen or the person? Let me see if you're going to answer this question. Who's the center of the show? Is it the screen or the person? The person, exactly. So keep this in mind. You are the center of the show. You are the show. Okay, so in a virtual pitch, it's a bit different because in Zoom, for example, when you share your screen, you will become very small at the side of the screen and your slide is like taking over. However, I personally, what I do, I will maximize the person because I want to see the person. Okay, so still the viewer has this flexibility to put you on a larger screen. There are other, by the way, other visual like presentation softwares, for example, Prezi. I'm gonna write it down. So Prezi Video, for example, it allows you to stay as the center of the screen. So I will be shown like this, and the screen will show here, for example. So I sometimes use it in my own training sessions, for example, if I want to be the center. Okay, but I want you to know, again, if we're doing this virtually because of COVID, doesn't mean that let me forget that I, as the person who's doing this presentation, I should be the center. This is why the screen should never be dominating. The slides are not the most important thing. It's what I'm saying. It's me. It's about me. This is why I just use the slide as a visual aid. And this is why I don't have a lot of time to improvise and to say things that I come up with on the spot. I have to have really practiced this very, very well. Again, why? Because in pitching, there's a huge difference between like any presentation and a pitch. In a pitch, you have very specific time and you have a specific audience. So they are jury who are evaluating the process. Okay, they're evaluating the idea, they're evaluating, the problem, how good it is, how convincing it is, the solution, how good it is. You don't have a lot of time to explain. All right, so I hope this is clear, guys. You are the center of the pitch, and you have to use the slides as a visual aid and not as the show itself. So the screen is not the show, you are the show. This is why we would really like your camera to be on. So as you could notice, I never do a training session with my camera off because it doesn't make sense. I'm the trainer. Like, you have to see me. You have to see my face and my reaction, and you have to look at me, even if it's behind a screen. Okay. So we would like your camera to be on. We would like you to be ready. And I would like to tell you for the virtual thing, and I'm going to share my screen again. I would like to tell you that I know that a lot of people, a lot of my students, when they're pitching, because it's virtual, they just tend to read and not to try to memorize. And this is sometimes problematic, especially if you don't have two screens. If you have two screens and they're connected to each other, like your laptop is connected to an external screen, it's much easier, I would say, to read. Why? Because when you go on presentation mode, okay, and you have an external screen, one of the screens will have the notes that still appear on it. It's called like the presentation mode, I believe. And the other one will have the full screen. Okay, and what you would do, but you have to train on this before. Don't say Mona told us to do this and then we couldn't do it on time. And like, okay, don't blame me if anything went wrong. You have to practice ahead of time. But this is a trick you can do if you don't have time to memorize. You want to read. It's very highly recommended that you have two screens. Okay, your laptop screen is one of them, and you have an external screen connected to it. You share the screen where your PowerPoint presentation is on full screen mode, and your camera should be on the screen where the notes still appear. And then you will be able to read your notes, but you're also looking at the same camera at the same time. So it wouldn't look that you're reading, because the worst thing ever is for the jury to know that you're reading, and it's very obvious that you're reading. It means that you didn't put any effort in preparing for the pitch itself. Okay, so this is about reading, improvising, and memorizing. Why we need to memorize? Again, because on stage in real life, if you're pitching on stage, then you cannot have a paper, right, and to read from it. So it just won't look good. Have you ever seen a stand-up comedian reading from his script? Have you ever seen it? No. Okay. Like that's the worst thing ever. So you cannot read when you're on stage. Okay. And what would you do? You cannot improvise either. I mean, sometimes you can improvise if you forgot something. You don't have to say words in the exact order, but you have to have. Do you think that stand-up comedians have prepared a script ahead of time, or is everything done while improvising? What do you think? It's very scripted, exactly. Very prepared, very scripted. How many hours do we need to prepare a script and to like memorize it and to practice it? General points that they follow, I think these are very advanced, Hiba. Definitely not beginner like or early professionals like if and I'm sure you're not that experienced either. So you cannot again rely. I mean, trust me, I'm somebody who has been teaching for 10 years. I used to think that I'm the queen of public speaking. Okay, I used to give lectures to hundreds of people and I wouldn't care. The first time I went to do pitching, okay, I did so bad. And I was like, oh my God, this is not who I am. Like, this is not me. What's going wrong? Why? What's going on? Because they are two different things. Even if you're somebody who doesn't fear stage and you don't mind public speaking, pitching is a totally different experience, totally different. Again, because it's you have the time limitation, which is, by the way, very stressing. Like, you have 5 minutes. At 5 minutes, you're gonna be cut off. No mercy, nothing. If you forgot something, if like the internet cut off, I don't know what happened, no mercy. Like, you have to keep going. Yes, no mercy whatsoever. You have to remember this. So you have to be very well prepared, very well prepared. So no room for improvisation. Of course, if something goes wrong, you have to keep going, change the words, do something. You shouldn't stop, but it has to be scripted. It has to be well prepared. We usually say that for every minute of pitching, you need 1 hour of preparation. And this is after you have finished your slides and written your script and tried it, in terms of read it, and it makes sense in terms of time and everything. So when you want to memorize it, every minute of pitching needs 1 hour of preparation. No, not one slide, 1 hour. 1 minute of pitching needs 1 hour. Okay, so for example, here, I think every 2 to 3 slides might take you 1 hour. Okay, depending on the number of slides. All right. Okay, so I'm sorry, I am not like catching up on everything you're saying, but I think that we're on the same page. Okay, so I'm gonna carry on. So we're still in the inspiration phase. And I would like to say that after I bring some emotions up, I explain the problem in a coherent, smooth, interesting way. I want to bring up some scientific background, some research, statistics, etc. However you would like it to be, make sure it's credible sources, make sure you mention them. Here, I also would like to talk more about what we saw earlier about the gain, the pain, so on. Okay, so it's up to you. I chose to do it in this format. It's up to you. Okay, I didn't have a lot of time to prepare this, so I used like PowerPoint, simple, smart art, but you have more time. So I would really encourage you again you can use Canva, you can use some of the more advanced PowerPoint tools to do this. But try several things and make sure that the whole team agrees that this is the best way to go about it. And it's always good to always take an external person's opinion. Sometimes when we are working in the team for a long time, we start missing on seeing the bigger picture. So here is where like pitching to other people might help you. For example, if you have some friends at university who are not part of DPCH, you might want to pitch to them and like ask them, like, what did you understand from this? tell me, I mean, can you repeat the problem? Like, can you tell me what you've understood from them? Don't just tell them like, is it good? Because they tell you, yeah, it's good, right? They don't want to hurt you because they love you and they care about you. But you want to see if they have really got the essence of it. Like you can tell them, oh, can you like tell me what you understood from it, or what do you think the main problem is? Why did we choose this solution? Can you like just reiterate in your own words? And then you see if they have really understood or not, what made sense to them and not. And you have to really ask them to be sincere and constructive in their feedback. Like it's fine if they were a bit harsh, if it's fine if they were a bit too truthful. You have to prepare well for this, and it's very important to get some external feedback before you directly pitch to the jury. All right. Yes, exactly. So Goxel is raising a very important point. So your teams are more than one person, and I don't know, Goxel, if you have a preference in terms of how many people should take part in the presentation. Usually in RIADA and in our programs, we recommend to have one person who is pitching. Doesn't mean that the rest of the team shouldn't be in the pitch. All of you should be ready. All of you should be not just present, but you should be ready to take over. Let's say Mona is pitching and Yasmin is in Mona's team, and Mona suddenly had her internet cut off. Okay, again, no mercy. So who has to do it? Yasmin has to continue. All right, so Yasmin has to be prepared. She has to have the slides. She has to share her screen, and she has to carry on. So these things happen, by the way, especially now with virtual pitching. I mean, be ready to have electricity cut off. In Lebanon, we have a lot of that, like internet connection issues. Your laptop battery died. I don't know what happened. Some noises are coming from the background, and you can't, now nobody can hear you. Then somebody else should take over. So make sure during your practice to take this into consideration, to have all the team members ready, and yeah, to have all your team members ready, and for them to pitch in if needed. And of course, at a later stage, maybe at this stage you don't have questions and answers, but at a later stage when you have a Q&A from the jury, everyone should be ready to answer some questions, because this will also show that you have a team spirit and that there's not just one person who is doing everything. So in terms of jury, I'm not sure if Goxel will share the jury. So we have 4 jury members. Goxel, will you share the details of the jury, like who they are, their LinkedIn profiles or anything?
Actually, some of them is during his or her social enterprise, and some of them from the Qatar National Institutes or something like that. And they need to see some criteria I already sent in your general channel. I guess it's most important thing is your presentation and all your learnings should be synchronized, the all criterias. It's the most important thing, I guess.
Okay.
And I will share all details maybe in the next 2 days.
Thank you. All right. So guys, I would say that they are experts who already are familiar with this area of like social innovation and entrepreneurship. So they will be able to assess you well on, again, the process that you have followed in terms of the empathy, inspiration, so on. Okay, great. So I'm gonna carry on. Again, I'm talking about Amir, who is a persona. He doesn't have to be a real person. He is a young Lebanese fresh graduate who is skilled. However, he is not finding a job because of COVID and everything else that's happening. And we realize that there's a huge opportunity to provide Amir with the right opportunities in terms of employment, because I'm going to read you what I wrote. So this is what I would say in a pitch. Okay, so securing a decent employment for Amir has a ripple effect on his community. On one hand, he can repay the loans his parents had to take to get educated, and on the other hand, he can help his family which had a decreased income after the multiple crises that Lebanon faced. In addition to becoming financially independent, this opportunity will help Amir create a family and will help him support the economy of his country. So here, if you remember, we talked about the pains, the gains, the dreams, right? The dreams, the complaints. So he's complaining about how am I gonna repay my loan, right? If I don't have a job. His dream is to have a decent job, uh, to help his family, to create his own family, to become financially independent, and to help his country's economy as well. Okay, so the knowns, again, it's like the increasing uh, rate of unemployment according to the UNDP or something else. What we don't know is whether Lebanese employers have enough opportunities for them. According to research, it might seem that there aren't enough opportunities internally. All right. So this is what I had in mind for this phase. And then you have the ideation phase. All right. No, honey, okay, just a second. Ian, you're saying we can't disclose the identity of the people we've interviewed. No, you should not, and you don't have to. Simply what you are going to do is you are going to compile, right, the data or the results of your interviews, of your surveys, or of any other tools that you use to support your argument. So again, you're telling me why this important is an important one, why this problem, sorry, is an important one. You're telling us what are the opportunities there. So you have to extract, and this is a team choice, the most important findings from your interviews, from your surveys, or any other statistical tools, and to present them again in a coherent, smooth, interesting, engaging story, graph, whatever it is. I mean, I couldn't really demonstrate all different possibilities, but please be mindful of the time. You don't have a lot of time. You just have 5 minutes, okay? So you have to be very selective. You have to be very precise in terms of what you want to talk about, which details you want to bring in, which details you want to keep out, because you cannot tell us everything you've done in the past few months. It's impossible in just a few minutes. So when I'm in the storytelling stage, I mean, Amir for me is a fictitious figure, right? So if you just come up with a name, you can find a stock photo, or like ask your friend to do you a favor and take their photo and put it like, yeah, no, of course it doesn't have to be, but I mean, the persona has to be real, meaning like, you know, Amir is fictitious. However, he's very representative of my target audience. So, right, I mean, of course he has to be representative, otherwise it doesn't make sense. Great. So in terms of ideation, now also this is worth 10%. I think it's worth 20. Sorry about the typo. So 10% is over the design question, and 5% is over the prioritized solution, and 5% is over the impact of the prioritized solution on the target audience. Okay. So there is no Q&A at this stage, as we said, all right? But again, all the team members have to be ready. Okay, so in the ideation phase, this is again part of the template that you'll be getting from the SOG Lab team. So you have to tell us more about, you know, some details about your solution, what kind of product, on what kind of experience are you leveraging, what kind of service is it or system. So this is editable. Again, you can do this however you like. And it would be nice also to show us how you have come up with this solution. Like, again, you have done a lot of background work before you came up with this solution and prioritized it over the others. So it would be really nice to tell us, for example, in my solution, I said it's remote academy. It would be nice to say why I chose to train Amir and people like Amir to work remotely rather than find some other kind of job inside Lebanon. Okay, I have to argue why remote, work at this point of time? Why remote work for people like Amir, people who are fresh graduates, they have a computer, they have a university degree, they are computer literate, they are actively searching for jobs, they are highly determined and committed. Okay, they are middle class people. All right, they really need this income. So why is remote work a good solution for them? Okay, so but versus, let's say, I don't know, starting their own company in Lebanon. Like in Riyadh, for example, we are solving a similar problem, but in a different way. We're not creating remote academies, we're creating entrepreneurship academies where we train them to start their own businesses. So why in this case I chose to have a remote academy? And here is like something I came up with. Again, I did this in a very short time. So if you're not convinced, I hope you will do a better job simply. So having right communication skills, finding the right opportunities abroad, in addition to having teamwork and soft skills, will allow Amir to be ready to take some remote work. And after COVID, now a lot of companies, especially big employers that need computer science and development skills, that are requesting for more and more remote workers. And given that Amir has computer science degree, then he might be a good candidate for such positions. All right. So in my opinion, this is some kind of explanation. All right, and I can of course increase like the reasoning behind this and say Lebanon is facing a huge economic crisis, and the number of vacancies is not sufficient for the young graduates. This is why, and also we are facing a financial crisis, so we need to bring money from abroad into the country. This is why remote work would make more sense, because then Amir would be bringing his income into the country in the hard currency, and he would not be relying on the very limited vacancies which are available in the country, but rather opening up opportunities with abroad. Okay, so this is important for you to explain why you came up with this solution. And then here I'm explaining my solution. Again, I just use simple PowerPoint visuals. You can definitely do a much better job. I did this in like a few minutes. So what I'm suggesting to do is to create remote academy. Remote academy will basically upskill the youth like Amir on the most in-demand skills, which are computer-based, technology-based, and based on, of course, the digital fourth industrial revolution, etc. I am gonna, through my remote academy, train him on job applications and communication, especially written and oral communication in the English language, because he might have, you know, some difficulties in communicating in English. I'm gonna have a network of employers overseas. I'm gonna make sure that their vacancies are posted on our platform. And I will provide Amir and his peers with one-on-one guidance if needed. And finally, I'm gonna make money by having percentage of salary from Amir after landing a job for the first, I don't know, 10 months, whatever. I mean, I know you haven't thought about this very thoroughly, but this could be an early business model, if you want to say. Even if you don't have exact numbers for now, it would be good to say, like, I'm thinking about how I'm gonna make money, because I can't do all of this for free. Christelle, you're asking, I just came up with anything, okay? I don't know, I mean, I just came up with an example for the sake of this session. So I don't know if you think it's innovative or not. I don't know, it's just illustrative. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I think it's not innovative. I've heard this idea like a million times before, honestly. All right, and in terms of implementation, this is worth 30%. So we would like to see what kind of prototype you have come up with. We would like to see whether your prototype actually solves the need of the target audience. Can it be easily used by the target audience? And finally, can the produced prototype be transformed into a social enterprise model that can generate both social benefit and economic gain. All right. So I haven't honestly seen your prototypes, but I hope that you could come up with something. And at this stage, doesn't have to be something that is sophisticated or too advanced or too complex. It's just something to represent the problem and the solution that you talked about. And here I want to talk about something that's very important before I move on, is like the matching between problem solution and prototype. Unfortunately, many times you see great pitches, but they have drastic issues with them. So one of the issues is that they have like a great problem, but then they suggest a solution that doesn't really solve the problem. So that's problematic. Okay, like you want to always ask yourselves as a team, does this solution really solve the problem? If not, then you either have to change the problem or to change the solution. And you will do whatever makes more sense. Sometimes we start with a great problem and then we end up with a different solution. And sometimes we find ourselves changing the problem according to the solution. And although the latter is not recommended yet, it's better than not changing the problem if it does not match my solution. I hope what I'm saying is clear. Okay, so although it's not recommended to change the problem based on the solution, because then you wouldn't have really like followed the design thinking process. But in case that happens with you, it's fine, like do it, change the problem, and don't just keep the problem as is, keep the solution as is, and then there'll be a huge mismatch, and then that will not be in your favor at all. Should the prototype include all the features that solves the problem, or just the essential feature that is easy to make in real life? Okay, so Omar, here you can have two things if you have time. Ultimately, you would say, this is what my platform would look like. Ultimately, okay, so this is what I want it to look like, but this is what I will start with. Okay, so we all know that you have always two things going on: what I can do right now and what I aspire to do at a later stage. And it's important as an entrepreneur to have both. Yani, it's very important for you to know and be realistic of what you can do right now. But I want you to show me as well that you have a bigger vision and that you know where you want to go, and that you have maybe devised the steps to go there. Okay, so I hope this is clear. So ultimately, it would be like, this is what my platform would ultimately look like, but this is how it's gonna start.
Mona, can I ask a question, please?
Yes.
I've already written it, but I thought it'd be easier if I could just quickly say it. You said on the previous slide, or during the implementation, you said how in terms of meeting the target audience and so forth, if any of our teammates are already involved with social enterprises or organizations that could benefit the prototype, so for example, charity or existing social enterprise networks that are doing similar work, would that benefit the pitch for us to include that in our pitch? Or does the do the juries want a completely new idea with no other involvement? I mean, if we're talking about future leaders and future post-COVID stuff, collaborations and, you know, looking at different strengths and weaknesses would benefit. But
yeah,
I wanted to get your perspective.
I mean, the way I got it from your question is that this could be really part of what we call go-to-market strategy rather than implementation. So if they will help you, for example, because of their affiliation with the other networks to reach the target audience, this is part of channels, like your go-to-market strategy or your outreach. So that's definitely a plus, but I still didn't see it as part of implementation. And by the way, I wanted to put, I didn't have time, like a slide here after implementation with a team slide where you can talk about the different skill sets and affiliations and organizations of the different team members and how they will benefit your project or your idea. Definitely, this is a plus. I mean, I'm not sure about the conditions of the program in terms of does it have to be an entirely new idea, or could it be something that has been existing? I mean, not a very long time ago. This is something you have to check with Goxel and SOGLab, I would say. But if the idea doesn't exist from before, but you think that the different team members will benefit the overall implementation because, for example, they might have, I don't know, some certain skill sets or previous experience, or you definitely you have to put it, but in the team slide, not in the implementation slide. So this is part of why you think you have the right team to do this. So I hope this answers your question.
It does. Thank you so much. I didn't know about this slide. I should have waited. Sorry.
No worries. All right. Okay. So here in the implementation, you have to tell us again what's your prototype, what does it look like, what's something you came up with. If you still are not fully satisfied with what you have come up with, you can say like this is a very preliminary prototype, but this is something that maybe you have a simulation of how it would look like in the near future. This is what we're working on. We have started testing it, for example, on our target audience, or this is how we plan to test it. Okay, because again, check the criteria. It says, can it be easily used by the target audience? And it says that, can it be transformed into social enterprise? So you have to say that this will be published online under our domain name, which is blah blah, that we are gonna buy soon, and this will be the main activity behind our social enterprise, which we are, for example, if you have already a business model, you can talk very briefly about it. If not, then you say we are now coming up with a business model to make this economically sustainable. All right, so this is where you add your digital prototypes. It could be a picture, diagram, interactive application, anything at all based on what you have done. And I just added anything from the internet. Like this is, for example, a web app and a mobile version of it that you will show us. And here, I'm just gonna duplicate my slide. And this is where you will, one second. This is where you will talk more about the team. And you will basically, yeah, whatever. I'm gonna insert anything here. Tell me, you're gonna tell us about the, like, this is our, I don't know, this is the CEO. He is Baha has, I don't know how many years of experience and I don't know what. His passion is this. He has worked with several NGOs on that, so on. This is Tamara. Okay, so whatever it is, I mean, you can of course put their pictures, be as creative as you want to be. The most important thing here is to not just tell me what's the role of each person in the team or in the project, but to also tell us like what are they bringing on board. Like again, as Ayan was saying, like for example, you have certain affiliations with NGOs or with organizations that will really benefit your work. It's very important that you mention that. They have some, I don't know, coding experience, development experience. It's very important that you mention that if you are coming up with a technology-based enterprise or solution. So we want to see that you have the right team to execute the plan that you have just talked about. All right, and that is mainly it. So again, guys, general notes, it's very important to have a script. Remember the script. So here I wrote them as notes. You can simply come up, start a new Word document, or on your phone, start a new note and say slide 1, this is what I'm gonna say, slide 2, this is what I'm gonna say. And by the way, it's impossible for you to get your script right from the first time. So you have to practice and time it and say, oh my God, like I spent 7 minutes, now I have to bring it down to 5, and make sure that 5 minutes you have to be speaking like comfortably. It's not like, you cannot rush. You have to be really like, be relaxed and like taking your time. So make sure you pace it correctly. Again, script, notes, timing. Again, if you want to read, I recommend to have 2 screens. If you cannot do it, then I have another suggestion. You can have, but this is tricky. Again, you have to really practice it. And because when you share your screen, sometimes it's difficult to overlay other things on top of it. But with practice, this might work. You can have on top of your shared screen a very small, for example, window, which has some text in it. And you should place it close to your camera, because you have to look at your camera when you're pitching. And again, practice it, make sure that it works, and don't say Mona told us to do this if it doesn't work. Okay, it's not my fault. Make sure to have appealing graphics and images. Spend some time with your team on finding the right images. Of course, it's best to choose copyright-free images. You can use, as you said, from PowerPoint now with the new icons and images and stickers. There's like a huge database of interesting graphics to use. You can use canva.com and other things for your logo and visuals. Make sure you select and extract the most interesting statistics, research, interview findings that you have, and put them all in a coherent story to convince us about your empathy exercise, how you did it, why is the important that you chose, why is the problem that you chose, why is it important. And in terms of empathy map, again, always it's best to have a persona, a real like person, even if it's not a real person, a real like person who is representative of the target audience. And make sure that you show empathy. Okay, so the name of the exercise is empathy. Make sure you show empathy by using the right tone of voice, by showing the right emotions, the right facial expressions. I mean, again, unfortunately, you're not going to be on a real stage because of virtual. However, you have to portray as much as possible your emotions, your expressions, your tone of voice to make it more interesting, more engaging for your audience. And finally, I would like to say that it is also possible for you to pitch while standing up. We have tried this, and it's not always easy for everybody to do it because it also needs sometimes a special kind of setup, but that would really show the jury that you have made extra effort. So first of all, if you would like to stand up while pitching, it's very important that you elevate your laptop, meaning you have to have like either books or some shoe boxes underneath your laptop. Another thing, you have to make sure that the laptop is a bit distant from yourself. So when you stand up, you're not going to be cut, like your whole face will show. And make sure that the lighting is also, you are doing the pitch in a place where there's light and the light is facing your face and not just a part of it. And in terms of pitching while standing up, make sure that your earphone, so I'm using now a wired earphone, make sure it's long enough. So if you want to be distant from the laptop for it to still make sense and be connected. And everything I'm talking about has to be practiced, rehearsed, not just once, twice, 3 times, maybe 10 times or even more. And my strong recommendation to you is to practice and to rehearse, not just on your own, but with your team members. Okay, so if you are already meeting with your team members virtually, practice over Zoom. Okay, practice over Zoom. If you want to stand up, then do it while standing up. If you want to read, practice the reading part, although it's not recommended, but see if it's obvious that you're reading. We don't want you to look that you're reading because it will make you lose like credibility, and jury will say like they didn't really give this a lot of effort. Okay, you have to make it seamless. You have to make it very smooth and story-like. And the most important thing is when you are switching between slide and slide, it's very smooth and it's flow. The flow is just like perfect. So it's a flowing story where you are moving from slide to slide, but it's not abrupt transformation or transition. So it's like, it makes sense, it's easy, it's clear, and it's convincing. All right, so this is it in terms of the content that I want to provide you with. I think we can have a few minutes of Q&A, and then what we'll do is we'll open up your team breakout rooms, because we want you to start thinking and to start brainstorming on what you want to show in your pitch, the story you want to talk about, what are the most important visuals or graphics. I know this will not be done today. It's very short time to do it and to complete it, but we want just to make sure that you have understood. And we have several facilitators who will be rotating over the breakout rooms to make sure that we're all on the same page. So until we open the breakout rooms, I would say I can take a few questions to answer right now. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now. Yeah, I mean, in terms of video, I just wanna have one like comment. If you wanna use a video, it's best that you don't have an audio in the video, meaning that like you just use your voice to comment on the video live as you go. Like I mean, audio, even in like real stages, it always goes wrong. Like audio goes wrong, especially if you're sharing your screen and there's an audio with video. Like you don't want to go there, right? And like, oh, it's not working, let me stop, let me go back. And again, no mercy, you have just 5 minutes. So if you want to use video, make sure it does not have audio in it, and you use your voice, you use your words to commentate on the video in real time. This is my recommendation. So Ian, the template which I showed, I believe Goxel will be sharing with you on Slack. Do you need my example slides? I can share them as well. I mean, there are a few, but yeah, I don't mind that. Recording a demo will be more safe. Yes, if you want to. But again, make sure you test it, you rehearse it several times, you make sure it works. Because I mean, the last thing you want to do is you play it and it doesn't work. You don't want that to happen. Yes, you can record yourself and see how you have performed, definitely. And this applies to even a stage pitch. You can record yourself on camera and see how you're doing. And like you can rehearse in front of the mirror. There are many ways to practice and rehearse. No, they're not secret tricks. It's my job to share with you what I know, and yeah, how to make you feel more comfortable and how to get the best out of you during your pitch. Are we gonna stand up? It's up to you. So, I mean, I've seen two different opinions on this. Some pitch trainers, they tell you, yes, it's much better. Some others would say it doesn't really make a difference. I mean, I've seen some people stand up and it wasn't even obvious that they were standing up. So they did the whole effort like for nothing. It was not clear that they were standing up. So if that's the case, then just do it while sitting down. But if it's clear that you're standing up, if it's adding some charisma, if it's bringing something new to the table, then you should do it. Yeah, there is some kind of setup, but it's not that difficult, honestly. What do you mean, Omar, that you have to have it with audio and demo? Why is that? I don't see why it should be the case.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, for example, some solutions is just like our solution is based on like contents and like video content. So it needs to be interactive, and it shows that like there's like maybe music and voice and explaining. So
No, you do not have to show this in the prototype. You can have the music sign, you can have a boom thing. No, you don't have to have audio. You can just say there will be music to add more interactivity, there will be graphics. You just say it. I mean, we will, I mean, the jury will know what you're talking about.
But don't you think that if we do like a lot of efforts to just like showcase how like the quality is, will give more chances to win?
Honestly, I don't think it will make a huge difference. It's just more effort on you to now make sure that the audio is perfect and to practice and make sure it works. I mean, if you want to do that, of course, it's your choice. But again, based on like our experience with that, it's safer to go without an audio. Yeah, because it's like you're more certain things will go well. Whereas whenever there's audio, things might go wrong. Like this is why I said like try not to have audio. But as long as you have a video and it's clear, like, you know, it doesn't take a lot of imagination to understand, like to have music to, like, I don't think it's difficult for them to see it, even if they cannot hear it.
Thank you very much.
Just try to share how it works, dear Omar. Don't focus to any details. Actually, just share how it works, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, and don't forget that you don't have a lot of time. So again, time, do not, guys, underestimate the importance of the time restriction. This 5-minute thing is like everything. It makes a very huge difference to the pitch. So you might think, I mean, it's a lot of time. It's not really. So you have to be very careful of what you're going to be including. Everything has to be orchestrated. Everything has to be scripted. So it's crucial. And I believe that they will be cutting you at 5 minutes. So, right? Gaxel is smiling.
No mercy.
No mercy. So what kind of questions are you talking about, Ibrahim? So yeah, we said there is no Q&A at this stage. So the jury will not be asking you any questions. So I think this is more pressure actually on you guys, because you have to really perfect your pitch, because there is no room to, I mean, if they missed anything, it's missed. Like there's no chance for them to understand it again. So this is why it's very important to have everything like super clear, everything right in place. So you have to do this effort of checking with other people. And this is why I would recommend that you spend these coming 2 days, like 3 days, working hard on the pitch, and then keep some time to not just practice and rehearse, but to practice in front of others and see how this could be enhanced. So I would tell you from my personal experience, I mean, I do pitch trainings, but I also pitch myself as well. So in the last program that we were pitching in, we had the peer-to-peer pitching sessions where like the different teams were pitching to each other. And honestly, this helped, I mean, hugely. It helped us so much in terms of getting better in the pitch, because they would say like, I didn't really understand the relationship between this and this. Maybe if you place the slide somewhere else, it would make more sense. And the more people you pitch to, the more, the more criticism you'd get. But this is all like positive and constructive criticism that will help you improve your pitch and make it much better. Yeah, social benefit and economics gain. So again, it's like, all right, again, as I said, it's the match between problem, solution, prototype. So is this prototype that you're suggesting, does it solve the problem that you mentioned to start with? Is it effective? Like, does it have a real impact? And another thing is, does it have the potential of becoming a self-sustainable social enterprise? So this is the economic gain, I would say, if you want to think about it from a social entrepreneurship perspective. Could it be self-sustainable? or does it have to keep depending on external grants and donations? If it's the case, then it's not sustainable. Okay, if it can't sustain itself after some time. So in the example I gave, it is clear that in order to start with, we might need some grants or investment or donations or whatever, because I don't want them to pay early on. These fresh grads that they are not employed, they don't have money. How can they pay for our service? However, I said that when they get recruited, then we will have a percentage of their salary for the 10 first months, let's say. So this would start generating revenues for the social enterprise, which means it can support more and more people. So it will have economic gains. No, it doesn't have to be profitable. I mean, the way we look at social entrepreneurship, again, is like the minimum is to have self-sustainability. So you want to be self-sustainable, but whether it's profitable or not, or is for profit or not, is something that usually you choose. I think we're gonna have more sessions in the near future about this. So if you don't want to have profit, then it's your choice. You can, it doesn't have to be the case, but if you want to, also it's acceptable. Like nowadays, there are more, we have a lot of different definitions of social entrepreneurship, and it's becoming more acceptable, I would say, to have profitable social enterprises, as long as the core cause is still social and the impact is still clear. So we don't want to say we're a social enterprise, but we're not, if you understand what I mean. So we don't want to now there's a term called greenwashing. For example, companies who talk a lot about the environment, but they don't really care that much. They're just using it as a marketing tool. We don't want social entrepreneurship to be that, like window dressing, no, but we want it to be real. So it doesn't have to be for profit, or it could be for profit, as long as it's real social entrepreneurship. What we have worked on mural needs to be abbreviated on keynotes. What do you mean by abbreviated? I mean, guys, you have to be very selective, and you have to, not everything, I don't think that everything you did on mural could go on the slides. It's impossible. It's too much to go on the slides, and it cannot go on the slides as is. Okay, so I showed you the templates, and I showed you like my interpretation of what could go on the slide. You have to do a transformation between what you have on mural and what you show us on the slide. Again, it should be visually appealing, it should be meaningful, it should be powerful, it should be a coherent story, it should be engaging, it should be emotional. So it's not just, again, a project like, oh, this is what I did on mural on day 1, this is what the SOG Lab told me on day 2, this is what I did on day 3. It's not like that, no. Okay, so you have to do the extra effort to synthesize the findings and the output of this whole process in a convincing, coherent story, and sell it to the jury. You're selling them this story and trying to convince them that, again, the problem that you chose is an important one, that the solution you chose is the right one, and that the prototype that you have come up with is an effective one. Do we have to make it shorter? I don't know what you mean, Fatima. Is it a good thing to include humor? If you are, if you have a sense of humor and it's not, you know, made up, you know, if it's natural, if it's, yeah, you can do it. Like, be yourself and try to bring your genuine personality in the pitch. It's recommended. But if you're not a very funny person and you're trying to make a joke, you might fail, okay? And it might act against you. So don't do it unless this is really you, and unless you know that this joke will make them smile, at least, if not laugh. And you don't want them to be puzzled, like, wow, what did they say? Like, what they mean? And like, then miss the rest of the pitch by trying to really think about what you said, which they didn't get. So again, test this on other people, because sometimes you might think something is really funny, but other people don't think it's funny. So you're losing the whole point. You don't want that to happen. So don't just like rely on your gut, you know, feeling about something. Make sure you test it with others. Finalize all. Yeah. Okay, so again, guys, mural, what you have on mural is like everything you've done. You have to synthesize all of this information in a coherent and smooth, meaningful, strong, emotional story. Okay, again, this is design post-COVID humanity. So you are really telling us that you are changing the world in a positive way, you're creating a better world, a better planet, and so on and so forth. So you have to convince us, okay, and show us the essence of what you've done. I don't care about the feedback here, the feedback there, I don't know, this specific diagram here, diagram there. I care about the overall story and again, the output, okay? What can we extract from all of those exercises that you did so far? So I think now we can open the breakout rooms. Again, guys, instructions. I would like you in your team breakout rooms to start brainstorming the different pitch elements as we discussed today and start thinking, okay, of your persona. Who are you going to talk about? Do you want to start with a picture or a story or a diagram? What kind of statistics you want to talk about? Okay, what are the gains, the pains, how are you going to put them, etc. So I want you, no, I'm not going to be on the jury. I'm one of your trainers, so I cannot be on the jury. And I want you to, start talking about these. You will have more time, I hope, with your team later on, like in your own meetings to continue with this process. But we want to see that you understood what's required from you. And we have several facilitators. We have Yasmin, we have Jihan, we have Wasim, we have myself, and we have Soglab team as well, who will be rotating on the different team breakout rooms and checking that everything is clear and that you know how to start working on your pitch slides. Goxel, did you share already with them on Slack the template?
It's totally surprise. I'm just kidding, guys. We have been just still messaging in the WhatsApp, but I guess 4 people selected right now. But I will share tomorrow, I guess. Don't worry, it's a little bit surprise.
Great. So everybody ready to start the breakout rooms? All right. So
I see rooms are ready.
Okay. Shall I open them?
Of course.
Great. So I would like to ask the facilitators to join different rooms. So yeah, just we can each one select a room and join. Just double check there's no other facilitator in the room.
And I'm checking the all teams. Because I see
I'm gonna start joining the rooms.
Of course. By the way, Mona, I saw at the first time in your Instagram or Facebook, I saw your pitching video, and it's a very wonderful, I think. And maybe you should share on the general channel or supply channel your pitching keynote video. I don't know. Do you remember?
Yeah, I mean, that was an old one. Yeah, I have actually like more recent pictures. Maybe, why not? Yeah, it would be a good idea.
I guess at the some woman entrepreneurship platform in the right?
Right.
Yeah,
True.
okay.
Yes, in Sweden.
In Sweden, yes. Thank
Okay,
you.
so I'm gonna join one of the teams as well.
Okay.
Mr. Goxel, I am in team 20.
Yep. Okay. I will move you team 20.
Jamil Ahmed.
Okay.
For me too, I'm team 22.
Dear Rhoda. Okay, 22.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Can you move her?
No.
Goxel, can you just enable screen share in the rooms?
Of course.
Hi. Why I didn't
Mr. Goxel,
add
can you
to
please
my
redirect me
breakout
to team
room,
20?
please? Team 22.
Sorry, guys. First of all, we will move to Aprilia. Which
Yes.
Aprilia?
Team 20.
Team 20. Okay. Bye-bye. What is next?
Jamil Ahmed, team 20.
Team 20. Okay, Jamil.
Okay, me, team 50.
Musa.
Musa,
Which number, Musa?
team 50.
50. Okay. Team 50. Yep. Okay. And I see Sahar. And let me check which team. 45. Oh, okay. And Natalia and Pamela. Team Kirk. 45. And let's continue with Natalia. Team 15. Okay, great. And Rhoda, finally. Oops. 22. 22. Okay. Guys of Soglab, can I move to some team? Alina goes to team two, okay, and Belina goes to team. Okay, let me check.
Thank you, Busta.
Ne kadar ayıp. Bir dakika. But I can see the chat box or people's list. Okay, stop the share. Okay. Beris goes to team. Team. Which team? 27. 27. Bye. Fatima. I'm looking. She is in team 18.
Hey there, Gugshal. Hello. I don't know what's the problem. Rabia,
Hey,
do you hear me? Hi.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think they have a problem because I'm not, I don't know what's the problem. And the first time
Actually, I'm losing your voice. Is it your internet connection? I
yeah.
just left the breakout room because my other team members are not here, so I was
Yeah,
alone in the breakout. What about
I
you?
have the same problem. Yes, I have the same problem. I don't know
Okay.
what's,
So
how we do that.
they all are kind of busy, so I'm here to listen to the session.
But
So what is
we
your
need
team
help.
number?
3.
Okay. The breakout room is supposed to be of 15 minutes, so we have to wait.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Contact your team and tell them, hi, Buse. Hi. Hi there. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Please, we have a problem and we must be with our teams. But I think that that you have a problem or something like that. To our team.
Hi, dears. How are you?
Hi. How are you?
Hello.
Yeah. I'm good.
Safa and Rabia. Belize?
Hi.
Hi. Debuts, we have a problem. We can't enjoy our teams in our rooms.
Actually, my team just dished me, I guess, so I was alone in the breakout room.
Which team are you in?
Yes, which team?
Team
My team is
3.
47.
Oh, sorry, can you repeat?
Team
47.
3.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
That we talk in the same time, so I will.
Belize, could you handle it?
Let me check. I'm not the co-host, Buse. Sorry.
Oh, baby. I'm co-host, but I don't do it.
Do we need Göksel? Acaba? Ah, yeah. You managed it. Okay, great.
Lot, Safa. Safa, which team? Sorry. Biz şu an bir odada mıyız bu arada?
Yok değil bence. Okay, great. Team 3.
Team 3, Lutfi. Okay. Move to team 3.
Thank you.
Bye.
But I'm still here. I'm still with you.
How?
Me and Rabia.
I can see you in team 30. Team 3, sorry. Oh, Rabia.
Yeah, both actually my team members say they are not like allowed to join the rooms. Yeah, they cannot just join the rooms.
Oh my God.
Ali Mubasil.
Really, I can't understand. Why is it? Rabia, I cannot see your teammates in your breakout rooms.
Yeah, I didn't see them as well. And they say they are not allowed, like they didn't left, but I don't know what's the problem. Ali and
I
Mubasil say
can't
that. They were in the
understand.
session. Okay.
Not
I guess we
join.
have this in our meetings.
Really, I don't understand. Safa, I can see you in team 3.
Are you talking with me?
Yes.
I'm
But
still here. I don't know what's the
you're
problem.
still here.
I don't know what's the problem, but I'm still here with you.
Beliz,
Mhm.
assign to you team 3, okay? Bye, Beliz. Not joined. Oh my God. Yes. Kadja, sorry.
Yes. What's the problem?
What? I don't understand. I will try to.
Okay, I'm waiting. No problem.
Okay.
Take your time.
And assign it. Alina.
Yes.
Please go to Team Onbeer.
Okay, I'm going.
Kadja, could you try leave the meeting in this meeting and try to join again?
Okay, I will try. Yeah.
Okay, I will waiting you.
Okay.
Buse, could you make me co-host, please? Because I cannot switch the room right now.
I cannot do this.
Okay, Buse, can I leave?
Yes, Kadja, please leave and join together.
Okay, no problem. Okay.
Beliz.
Yes.
Farklı bir yere atıyorum seni.
Tamam.
Beni de atabilir misin?
Sizi neden göremiyorum? Beliz, seni 11'e bir yolladım. Süreçlerini bir anlamaya çalışalım onların. 11'e yolladım. Yollayabildim mi? Evet.
Yolladım. Beni yollayamıyorsun ama şu an.
Aleyna, seni de Team 18'de Göksel var. Team 20'ye gönderiyorum. Süreçlerini bir anla, sunumlarını anla, okey?
Okay.
Hi, Cynthia. Cynthia. Move to team group.
Buse, ben yine geldim.
Neden?
Çünkü gittiğim yerlerde halihazırda DIADA'nın facilitator'ları var.
Öyle mi? 47'ye gönderiyorum o zaman seni.
Tamam. Hı hı.
47.
Hi. They're asking me how much time they have left in the breakout room. Do you have any idea?
Yasmin, I don't have an idea really.
I'll ask Mona now.
Maybe we can have a last 10 minutes.
Okay. Okay, I'll ask Mona now. Thank you.
Katja, hi again.
I'm here again. I don't know what's the problem.
I cannot solve this problem. Really? I don't understand.
Hello. I'm sorry, but I'm facing an issue. I'm going to the breakout room number 41, whereas my team is 45.
But your team number is real team number is 41 or
45.
45. Okay, let me check.
I had a technical issue, so I had to leave the meeting, and now I'm here again.
Well, let me check. 45. But I cannot see.
I will handle it.
Okay, okay, Buse handle it.
But I cannot for Kabja.
Yes. Okay. I'm still here. Hi, dear Gukshal.
Hi.
Nasılsın?
Çok iyi. Dear sister, I am already great. But I have been missing my another country, you know, the Firenze. I'm missing.
So please, I want to enjoy. I want to join my team.
Okay.
And I think
20, which 20?
23.
23, okay.
I know, only 3.
Team 3, yeah.
Team 3.
Teşekkürler.
You're welcome. Rica ederim.
But I'm still here.
But I can't, Buse. Why?
I don't understand really.
Katja, team 3, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Actually, I see you in team 3, but not join it. I don't know why the problem is.
Bye-bye.
Yes, yes, I will enjoy it now. Thank you.
Okay.
I will enjoy it.
Welcome. Grazie mille.
Thank you.
to make this be as simple, I guess. It could be great for everyone, I guess. And please finalize your presentation and ask your questions to us. And see you soon tomorrow at our guest speaker sessions.
All right, thank you,
And
guys.
have
a nice evening.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening.
Bye bye, guys.
Bye bye.
Goodbye,
Bye bye,
everyone.
everyone.